Grom life. It's been a long time since I've ridden a Grom. It's nice to ride a manual because I've used to my Honda Wave with the semi-auto, but this thing's got a whole bunch of goodies, and very shortly I will tell you all about it. I'll just go find somewhere really nice to park up. Welcome to this episode of Small Bike Stuff. We've got another Honda Grom on the channel, and this one's a bit special because it's got a good story that goes with it. I'm currently in a wonderful picturesque area, however there's geese up there having an argument, so yeah, I don't know if you can see them. So I hope you can hear those guys, I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the Grom. So this is a Honda Grom 125. I believe it's a 2021 model, and I believe this is known as the SF model. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really buy into the whole kind of Grom elitist society, which is sorry. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that know everything about Groms, and I don't. I just like them and have appreciated them for a long time. So if I get anything wrong, forgive me, but we'll jump into it. First things first, we've got an engine here, of course. So this engine is actually pretty interesting, and that's where the special story begins. So this engine comes from Sweden. Well, of course it comes from the Thailand Honda factory, but this engine was originally in a bike that was purchased in Sweden, and it was ridden all the way from Sweden through down to Bali. The bike was shipped to New Zealand from Bali, and then this engine, we'll go around and have a look on the other side, and then this engine didn't have the side cover on it at the time, but yeah, it kaput itself, and this bike was purchased to take the brand new engine out of to put in the other bike, so the gentleman from Sweden who was riding it could continue his around the world journey. Now his around the world journey was done with a carnet de passage, or a carnet, which is like a document for your bike, and the frame numbers needed to match, so I couldn't just get a new bike and take it around the world without applying for a new carnet. Anyway, this was the engine. It stayed behind, got completely rebuilt by a friend of mine, Kaz, who did the seat, which we'll talk about soon as well. And then it eventually made its way into the owner here, who I actually mentioned in one of my more recent videos. So this here's Paul Quinn. He's got a Grom with a whole bunch of cool bits on it. This is actually the bike that the Swedish guys bought to get an engine from, to replace the engine in their bike which had broken down. So that has a rebuilt engine, which was actually the one that came from Sweden, if that makes sense. So that's right, this is Paul Quinn's, and he's done a whole bunch to this bike but left the engine capacity stock. So I've been riding it and it's pretty interesting, so let's kick into it and have a little bit of a look. But 125cc PGM FI, we've got the Katako side cover on here which allows an oil filter, and we've got the Morin oil cooler as well, but we can talk about that soon because that's part of the mods. But yeah, just a 125 4-speed, 1 down 3 up, and that's about it as far as the engine goes. Wheels and tyres, so stock 12-inch Honda Grom wheels. These here, I think this is a V-rubber possibly. It's a 120/70/12 on the front, and then on the rear we've got a Michelin City Grip, which is a 130/70/12 I believe. And yeah, different tyres front and rear, but I don't think it's so much of an issue on a bike like this. Got the standard disc brake front and rear as well, and the front does not have ABS. This is the non-ABS model. Controls, well, let's have a look. So we've got obviously a speedometer there. When you turn that on, we've only got 2 bars of fuel, should be enough to get home. We've got a temp gauge down there, which is slowly cooling down. You've got your key here, which if you take it out, it's actually got a flickable or a collapsible key, so you can kind of keep it safe. On the right side, we've got our kill switch, and we've got our electric start button. There is no kickstart on these bikes. And we've also got a different switch block. So this is from AliExpress or similar, and it actually does allow the hazard lights to work. So it'd be rude not to show you. If we put the key in, turn it on, hazard lights, both of them going at once. So this has been, yeah, fitted aftermarket, and it's got the high and low. The pass button doesn't work, but the horn does, and then you've got individual turn signals as well. So yeah, controls are fairly basic. Clutch with an aftermarket lever, and we've also got the front brake with an aftermarket lever. You've got your shifter down there, 1 down, 3 up, and then over on that side there's your brake as well for the rear. Alright, mods. Well, as you can tell, this thing is not stock. And I brought with me a bit of paper because it's got every single mod listed on it, so bear with me. Alright, so I've got a large list here, so I'm just going to start at the top and go down. So the rear rack is aftermarket, and I don't know what brand or where it's come from or anything like that, but it's pretty cool. It bolts in there under the seat, as you can see, and it's fairly solid. A little bit of flex there, a little bit of movement, so you wouldn't want to put anything too heavy on it, but I mean, that is what they say anyway, that you don't want to put, you know, more than 5 or even 10 kgs max on these racks, but you know, it does the job. Tail tidy, there is no big fender coming down here like we see on a lot of the Groms, so it's got an MSX logo on the top there, which is kind of hard to see, and that's the number plate light there. And yeah, the tail tidy's pretty tidy. The motard fender, so let's go to the front. So on the front, this thing here does not look like this stock. Traditionally, this guard here comes all the way up and has a real low clearance, and this is kind of what Kevin did on his original Grom that did go around the world. He chopped the fender at the rear there and then gave a whole bunch more clearance at the front. So Paul's got this motard fender that bolts on to the bike and kind of fits up here and just gives it a totally different stance, which I do like. Air filter, so the air filter has been changed. So under there is the airbox, and there is a stock different air filter than stock in there. Exhaust, so the exhaust has been changed, and it's got a custom little mount here because they traditionally come underneath on this edition of the Grom, I believe. So an aftermarket pipe there, and it fits right up under there. And there's also some custom carbon fiber kind of wrap there as well, which I didn't mention before, but as you probably can see, there's a little bit of a bubble there, but you can't see it when you're looking from this angle. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is the color on this is not paint. It has been vinyl wrapped, and I like it. Means you can change it later on if you want to. You know, there's some advantages and some disadvantages to wrap, but yeah, that's okay. The plastics that are on this bike, actually, a lot of them came off the Swedish bike because he wanted his bike to look as new as possible. So underneath there was a whole bunch of flags and stickers from around the world and stuff like that. But now we've just got 428 Garage, which is Paul's little thing he's got going, which is pretty cool. Monkey fork covers. So, as you can see there, it's got fork covers. Now they're from the Honda Monkey 125, and pretty good idea. It just covers the stanchions so you don't get chips in the chrome, and yeah, don't damage your forks in any way, shape or form. Turn signals, aftermarket. So there's your front and your rear are hidden in there, and there's your rear hidden in there. Still viewable, but yeah, quite a bit shorter and don't stick out as much. Tail light, that's aftermarket as well, I believe, so that's been changed. And temp gauge, so yeah, temp gauge down there, that is a Koso Mini 3, and yeah, when you turn the bike on, it tells you the temp of the engine from, I believe it's taking the temp from down here on the side of the engine. There's an oil temp sensor that goes down into here. It's almost like a bath, a splash bath, so it's not permanently soaked in oil, but it does quickly get a whole bunch of oil flicked over it once the engine's running, so it can give higher temps than you probably get down there deep in the sump, but yeah, it does the job, that's for sure. The levers are aftermarket, so they're adjustable. You can move them forward or back depending on what kind of stance you want them to be in, and they've actually got Grom printed on them. Grom, which I do like, that's very cool. Yep, so he's put a support there for the oil hose that's coming out of the oil cooler and back into the engine. And then, yeah, the oil cooler is obviously aftermarket as well. The oil lines, he didn't like the ones that came with the Morin oil cooler, so he's actually put his own oil lines on there and just kept the Morin kind of cover or logo, which is, you know, pretty funky and actually makes a lot of sense. Side bags. So we've got these things here. They're called Wildman bicycle bags, E4. A refreshing experience for your bike ridding. So let's just go ahead and say these are from AliExpress, but yeah, a few bit of parts in there. Oh, I could have used that actually. That's a side stand helper. Make sure it doesn't sink into the sand, which it kind of has done here. And then you've got another one there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, double bags, which I do like. It's also had a quad lock fitted with a wireless charger, which is pretty awesome. So I've been riding along, charging my phone as I'm riding, and I'm pretty stoked about that. It's got the whole Katako side cover. So there's a few things involved in here. There's a Katako clutch kit, I believe, with stiffer clutch springs. This whole cover, which allows you to have an oil cooler coming out of the engine, and also gives you an oil filter, because this one didn't come with an oil filter standard. So kind of just improves the functionality of the bike a little bit, you know. Otherwise, I've only got that oil gauze, which is down in the engine here, and it's just not really that amazing, to be honest with you. An alloy clutch cable bracket, so that little bracket there is alloy and aftermarket as well. The belly pan, obviously this is something that's different. It actually had a mount that broke last week, so whoops. That wasn't me, thankfully. But yeah, I do actually wonder, I have been riding it, and I do wonder how much that prohibits airflow over the engine, because I saw the temps go a bit higher than I thought they would. Still safe and okay, but yeah, it was just one of those things where you do wonder if it's inhibited airflow at all, or maybe it's improved it, I don't know. USB port, so there is a USB port somewhere. So there's apparently a USB port, and I can imagine that's to power this, and it seems to be hidden down under there somewhere. So that's a change as well. The oil cap is a little bit different. That's not standard. So that oil cap there has been changed, which looks cool. Looks a bit annoying to undo, to be honest with you, Paul, but hey, that's all right. And he's done a whole bunch of fork changes as well. So in the forks, which you can't see, the Katako Springs 20-weight fork oil, so the front end's a lot nicer and doesn't dive as heavily as they can do in stock form. And then, I'm loving it. Look at the seat. So this is done by Kaz, KP Upholstery, good friend of ours. And yeah, this is just a really, really nice flatter seat. It doesn't kind of have the step up, which a lot of the Hondas do, if they've got a longer seat. And yeah, it's just a lot nicer to sit on and kind of a lot more comfortable for longer trips. So really can't complain there. It looks bloody good and does the trick. So positives about this is that it's a Grom, and it's bloody fun to ride. Negatives about something like this is that it's a Grom. And if you are coming into a Grom with the mindset of, oh, I want this really, really awesome bike that can hold 100 kilometers per hour exactly, always, all the time, you're running, hey, birds, look. This is definitely their domain, not mine. If you're expecting these bikes to always hold 100 kilometers per hour, they're just not going to. You know, you have to ride it with the expectation of the fact that it's a Grom and it is how it is. And if you can live with that, which I can, Paul can, a lot of people can, then they're an awesome bike. So yeah, you've just got to keep in mind that it's not a highway commuter, but there's lots of people that do ride them long distance and on the highways, and some people have even ridden them around the world. I guess it'd be rude not to turn the bike on and actually listen to it. Aha! So yeah, there's the oil sound, the exhaust sound. So it's a pretty wicked bike. I love what you've done with it, Paul. And yeah, I got a lot of time for these Groms. If you want to see your bike on the channel, please get in touch on Instagram or Facebook. Small Bike Stuff, just search it up, you'll find it. And yeah, you can take a video of your bike anywhere in the world, and I've got a few steps to follow. I'll send you a template video, and then your bike could be on this channel, showcased to everyone around the world. I hope you've enjoyed this bike. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Small Bike Stuff.